What's up, it is Dan, or DMAD96 here, and welcome to round number 9 of our F1 2016 career mode with Haas F1. And here we are at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix. Last time out at Baku, it was a decent race. We managed to finish in 7th. We did lead a couple of laps, but at the end of the day, the strategy proved to be the major factor in the race, and I think it was also down to the safety car, but our one-stop strategy didn't work out as well as I thought. So there you can see on the screen right now, the updates have actually moved us to 4th quickest team in the vehicle performance race. And yeah, we're looking good in terms of things going into Austria. We're just about to start the first practice session. Aim for this weekend. We had a slightly average race in Azerbaijan. Hoping to do a lot better this weekend, especially because of the fact we've had 2 podiums recently in Monaco and Canada. Can we try and return to the podium this weekend? It's obviously going to be very hard. So I think our aim will try to beat that 7th place that we had last time out in Baku. But nevertheless, we are starting P1 with the track acclimatization test. And overall, this is a track I'm fairly comfortable with. I've been happy with it on previous F1 games, and I like it on this one as well. And you can see right now, we are just about to complete the track acclimatization test already on our first attempt. We have easily scored our purple objective. And there we go, track acclimatization test has finished already. Now we move on to the qualifying pace, just about to start our first lap, crossing the start finish line now. And we're running ultra soft tyres as well. We usually run fastest tyres in the qualifying pace objective. Coming around the final corner to complete our first lap, and it looks like it's going to be a purple lap time, and it is. Target achieved a 5th place with 3rd fastest in practice, and a good end to our practice session. We did the time management test off screen like we usually do, and yeah, ending practice pretty highly, scoring another 213 resource points. And I don't think we get an upgrade for the next weekend. Just having a look. No, we didn't actually bother with getting anything. Didn't even have enough resource points. But yeah, it's looking good for the qualifying session. Now it's time to move on to the qualifying report. Lewis Hamilton topped Q1 at a wet-soaked Red Bull Ring, but a drying track right at the end of the session saw Kevin Magnussen, Sergio Perez, Felipe Nasr and Pascal Wehrlein follow behind the current World Championship leader. Their respective teammates were all eliminated, along with the 2 McLarens. Q2 was completely dry, but there was no change at the top, as Lewis Hamilton continued to top the timing sheets, but this time it was the Haas of Dan Phillips in 2nd, splitting the 2 Mercedes drivers. The surprising drivers that went through in Q1 weren't so lucky in this session, as they were joined by the 2 Toro Rossos in the drop zone. But in Q3 the advantage somehow switched to Ferrari's hands. Sebastian Vettel took his first pole of the season from the 2 Mercedes drivers. Dan Phillips starts in the top 5 for the 4th consecutive race, whilst closest rival Valtteri Bottas is all the way down in 8th. So after an exciting session, it will be Sebastian Vettel leading the way down towards turn 1, with his fellow countryman Nico Rosberg alongside, followed by the 2 Brits of Lewis Hamilton and Dan Phillips on row 2. Red Bull of Max Verstappen starts 5th, with teammate Daniel Ricciardo 7th, whilst the other Haas of Romain Grosjean starts in an excellent 9th. It was the best qualifying performances of the season for Felipe Nasr, Kevin Magnussen and Pascal Wehrlein, but their teammates didn't achieve the same amount of success, with all of them ending up in the bottom 4 positions of the grid, with Ericsson and Palmer on the back row for this weekend's Austrian Grand Prix. And before we move on to the race, we are going to go straight to our rivalry update, and I can tell you that we have beaten Valtteri Bottas, beaten our 3rd rival this season, and there we are. So we have won our rivalry against Valtteri Bottas after a pretty good qualifying session to qualify in 4th position, Valtteri Bottas only managing 8th. But nevertheless, we are going to be moving on to the race here in Austria. Again, we're hoping for a good result this weekend, and last time we started 4th, that was in Canada, we went on to take a very, very surprising victory. I doubt it's going to be the same today. The weather report is light cloud. Maybe a little bit of rain could be thrown into the equation. We never really know. But on the screen right now, you can see the championship update. Lewis Hamilton retook the lead after Baku. Nico Rosberg and Daniel Ricciardo slowly falling behind a little bit, whilst Mercedes continue to run away in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull making a small gap from Ferrari, but this man Sebastian Vettel hoping to close that gap in the Constructors' Championship as he sits on pole position. But we get underway for the formation lap. There you can see ourselves in 4th, getting onto a slightly slow start, but still staying ahead of Max Verstappen, of course. It has to be because it's a formation lap. But now it's sitting behind Lewis Hamilton, and he will be a key target. So if we can get past one or maybe both Mercedes drivers, we can have a good chance of some solid points here. But the 5 lights are about to illuminate here at the Red Bull Ring. It is lights out and away we go, and it's an awful start from us. You can see Kimi Räikkönen trying to get alongside us, but Sebastian Vettel's already lost the lead to Nico Rosberg as we go in towards turn one. Räikkönen goes off the track, and this contact with Kimi Räikkönen, he's up into the wall, and I think he's lost his front wing. That may bring out a virtual safety car. We've dropped down to, I think, 5th position or 6th position, can't really tell, but Sebastian Vettel now going up into turn 3 and has passed Nico Rosberg. I think they're still side by side, but I think Vettel has retaken the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Back on board with us, we're right behind Daniel Ricciardo, and the safety car has been deployed already on their first lap of this Grand Prix, and I can only assume that was for Kimi Räikkönen, who crashed out early on in the race, as we sit behind Daniel Ricciardo in 6th position. So all in all, really pretty decent start. You can see on the screen the engineer tried to ask us about changing our strategy, but now we're moving on to the second lap, and you can see Nico Rosberg for some reason has just stopped to a halt and has dropped off the rest of the field. Let's have a look what happened with him. He was catching up to the safety car and he just stops. I can't really explain what just happened there, but Nico Rosberg has dropped down the order, and I've also forgot to mention that Sebastian Vettel pitted, I think, at the end of the first lap, so that has elevated us back up to 4th position behind the 2 Red Bulls, and we've got to get a good exit out of the final corner if one chance of getting into the podium positions. But the safety car has come into the pits at the end of this lap. Lewis Hamilton will lead the field going into the final corner for the first racing lap here of the Austrian Grand Prix. Felipe Massa has become the race's first retirement, and that was due to an engine failure, I think. But now moving on to the straight, you can see just ahead that Daniel Ricciardo has passed his teammate Max Verstappen to move into 2nd place. We won't have the DRS, of course, because it's first lap after the safety car, but we will have a decent amount of slipstream on Verstappen. Ricciardo's already pulled away from him, so I don't know what's happened to Verstappen, but we've just taken 3rd place on lap 5 of the Grand Prix, and you can see that we are supposed to be due into the pits at the end of this lap. Yellow flags are out again, and all the front runners, it seems, will be going into the pits. Max Verstappen will therefore inherit the lead, but myself and Ricciardo and Hamilton are entering the pits at the end of lap 5. Max Verstappen, who is now leading the race, has just started lap 6 as we are passing the Mercedes garage of Lewis Hamilton, who has exited the pit lane. I'm pretty sure he will take back the lead of the race. Max Verstappen leading on track right now, does need to make another pit stop. Daniel Ricciardo rejoining right behind the Mercedes driver, and we pit for a set of super soft tyres. Daniel Ricciardo, interestingly, on the soft, so we are on the quicker tyre. But now moving on to lap 8, we're just catching up to the guys on ultra softs that haven't pitted, and Ricciardo slowly moving up through the field. Lewis Hamilton losing a lot of time to Vettel and Räikkönen just ahead. Remember, Vettel pitted early on in this race. We have just passed Fernando Alonso. Now we're looking to pass these 3 cars going into the right-hander up this straight now, as it looks like we're peaking ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, but we're going right ahead of 2 cars going into the right-hander, moving into 11th place. And what a fantastic move that was. We also have the DRS on Lewis Hamilton just ahead. Sebastian Vettel is slowly being caught up, but I think he's actually in the lead of this race because he pitted on the first lap. But no, he's not anymore, because that is the Ferrari's engine. The V6 engine of that Ferrari has just imploded right in front of us, putting Lewis Hamilton back in the effective lead here, and I think that means that we're effectively in 2nd place. And somehow, really, I don't know what's happened. I think the cars ahead, they haven't pitted yet, but you can see we're now in P10. Rio Haryanto on the softs, trying for an extra long stint here, is in a battle with Lewis Hamilton just ahead, and the Manor driver is battling with the Mercedes driver for position, and he's just had a very poor first corner, so we're going to make completely easy work if a Manor driver taking 9th position. And now we're catching back up to Lewis Hamilton. His next targets are the 2 Renault drivers of Palmer and Magnussen. Again, I don't think either one of them have pitted yet. We're on lap 10 of this Grand Prix, and it's already turning out to be a very, very exciting race now, as we try to have a little look going to be inside Lewis Hamilton. We thought about it, but we just backed off. But at the end of it, we actually went wide, so a very, very poor exit going out of that corner. Rio Haryanto putting him right on the back of us. Moving on to lap 12, and Lewis Hamilton slowly advancing his way through the field. He's moved ahead of the 2 Renault drivers, who are now in 5th and 6th position. So this is now a battle for 5th. Kevin Magnussen has DRS on his teammate, but he also has a lack of straight line speed, so we should make an easy move on him. We're on the quicker tyres again, and we have moved into 6th position, passing the Danish driver. Next up is his teammate Jolyon Palmer, and again, like Magnussen, this should be a very easy target. Now on to lap 13 of the race. Lewis Hamilton slowly pulling away from this little battle. And I'm pretty sure now that Hamilton will be catching up to the top 3 cars up ahead of him and will certainly secure a podium finish. But we just went past Jolyon Palmer, moving up into 5th position. And now we're going to go on to the cinematic shot here, because this is Sergio Perez on the soft tyres in that Force India. And I'm not joking, he's actually in the lead of this race. So I don't know what Force India are trying to do, but he's on the soft tyres. He's been on them for now 15 laps. And Sergio Perez is leading, and I think could have a solid chance of winning this race, because he's got good pace on those soft tyres. But Lewis Hamilton obviously is in a much faster car, and I believe he's also just pitted for much fresher tyres. I think Lewis Hamilton's still going to win this race. Sergio Perez is trying to do something interesting. I think Force India are as well, but I don't think it will work, and Lewis Hamilton is probably going to end up winning this Grand Prix thanks to Vettel's retirement early on. But we rejoin the race on super soft tyres. We're moving 2 laps on to lap 17, and we are coming up to the back of Felipe Nasr's Sauber. That is Lewis Hamilton just ahead of the Sauber driver. We don't exactly know what tyres he is on. Has he pitted for another set of super softs, or has he even maybe changed to a set of ultras or just regular softs? And indeed he has actually fitted the yellow compound soft tyres on, so we are now actually quicker than Lewis Hamilton. This could be very interesting. This race is definitely turning to be very, very exciting as the yellow flags come out for Jolyon Palmer, who has just retired from the Grand Prix. We can just see him over there. The engine has gone from that Renault and the virtual safety car has been deployed. So we've had a safety car and now a virtual safety car. This race is definitely turning out to be very, very interesting indeed. We now move back up to 10th position on board with the Renault driver, and you can see that Renault engine just going completely, and Jolyon Palmer is out of this race. And I think he could have actually got some decent points this weekend. He was running quite highly in the top 10, but that was because him and his teammate haven't we didn't pit at that time. But now you can see the front 2 tyres on the right hand side of our screen are sort of wearing off a little bit on lap 20 of this Grand Prix. Virtual safety car has ended, and we are slowly catching up to Lewis Hamilton. You can see him just ahead of us on those soft tyres. We're 2.5 seconds behind him, and we could get past the Mercedes driver as we go into penultimate corner. The yellow flags have come out again, and there's a car facing the wrong way. That is Lewis Hamilton, and wow! The Mercedes driver's gone off. We're going to have a look at what happened to him now. He is trying to get past Pascal Wehrlein, but a slowing Toro Rosso, I think that was Danny Kvyat, has caught him off guard, and Hamilton has ended up spinning around, hitting the wall, and has he had front wing damage, and that has thrown any chance of winning this race pretty much gone for Lewis Hamilton. And Pascal Wehrlein causing more mayhem just ahead of us on the next lap, and Carlos Sainz has just retired from the race, being completely wiped out by the Manor driver. We get ahead of Wehrlein, but had to let him back through, of course, due to overtaking under yellow flags. But this race has now become even more interesting. Hamilton is way down the order, and remember what I said about Sergio Perez being on the soft tyres and also doing a one-stop strategy, and the fact that I think he's also got a giant lead already. I think Sergio Perez now has put himself in prime condition to win this race, but we don't know yet. We've still got plenty of laps to cover, as we're now in 5th position behind Nico Rosberg, and Daniel Ricciardo has just managed to pass us. Our tyres are going off completely, so we do need to come into the pit soon. I think it will be for our final stop. It's looking like it's going to be for the soft tyres. But we've also got Kimi Raikkonen challenging us as we go up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo into turn 1 with a slightly aggressive move to get back ahead of the Red Bull driver, trying to defend that 5th place. But Kimi Raikkonen's trying to put himself into the action as we go down towards the right hand corner. Raikkonen getting past Ricciardo. He's going to try and get past ourselves as well. We have to brake really early to avoid a collision, and we've unfortunately let both Ricciardo and Raikkonen through. We're now in 4th position. That battle just up ahead is for 2nd place, and we have Max Verstappen behind us on the super softs. We will be coming into the pits, I think, at the end of this lap, as Ricciardo and Raikkonen still battling side by side. Raikkonen eventually getting ahead of Ricciardo, but now we're back on board with Sergio Perez. He's one of those guys that has just pitted for the super soft tyres, and that was him lapping Marcus Ericsson. He's still in the lead of this race, believe it or not, but we go into the pits for what should be our final pit stop for the soft tyres. We are now in 12th position behind Valtteri Bottas, and Felipe Nasr is behind us. He will definitely not catch up to us as we exit the pit lane in 12th place. But now there you can see a big train of cars being led by Valtteri Bottas. We've got Kvyat, Haryanto, Magnussen, and our teammate Romain Grosjean in that as well. We now have a DRS on these cars just ahead. We're going to try and get past Romain Grosjean as we go down towards turn 1. There's a Mercedes coming out of the pits. I can only assume that will be Nico Rosberg. And we'll easily end up ahead of the Mercedes driver, and it's been a pretty appalling weekend for Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton has been spun out, and Nico Rosberg has just suffered something at the start of races, which has meant that he has now ended up all the way over here as we go very wide on the exit of that corner, but somehow getting ahead of those 4 cars behind us, and another fantastic overtaking that we have just pulled off onto lap 29 of this Grand Prix. And now our next target is Valtteri Bottas for 5th place, and the Williams driver now. There you can see Ricciardo just coming out of the pits on the faster super soft tyres, but could that have been a poor strategy there made from the Red Bull team? Because on the screen right now, raindrops are falling, and this race has just suffered one more exciting twist. We go up the inside of Bottas to take 4th position. Nico Hülkenberg's up the road. He's on the ultra soft tyres, and I think with the rain coming down now, Sergio Perez, who is just pulled off probably the strategy of the century, is on course now to win this race with 6 laps remaining. We are going back into the pit lane for one more time for the intermediate tyres, and could a podium be possible? I can't really tell. But this race has just been insane. We're going to rejoin in 8th position. A lot of drivers up ahead haven't pitted yet. And could we get maybe a podium finish here? It's quite hard to say right now. But this race has just been insane so far. Now on board Romain Grosjean, and what the fuck? Okay, Romain Grosjean just turning around the other way, nearly running over his pit crew there. I think that just must be a glitch in the game. I'll put it in there anyway just to see what you guys think. And Marcus Ericsson doing the same as well. What the hell has just happened with Grosjean and Ericsson? They've both decided to turn around in the pit lane, try and run over their own mechanics. As we now come onto the straight, I believe this is the first lap after we pitted for the intermediates. There's a lot of drivers going into the pits. Obviously one of them is Romain Grosjean indeed. And we are going to now be in 4th position. Nico Hülkenberg is a mile up the road, so I doubt we're going to get 3rd. But there you can see on the screen right now, very short race results with 2 laps remaining. And Sergio Perez and Force India have just pulled off strategy of the century. I think this may have helped due to the safety car at the start, but I cannot believe I'm saying this. Sergio Perez has won the Austrian Grand Prix for Force India. It's the first victory ever for Force India, and Force India have just pulled off some mental strategy. We're going to come across the line to finish in 4th place behind Nico Hülkenberg, and I can't even describe what I've just seen. Force India finished 1st and 3rd, and that was insane. Safety car on lap 1, followed by Lewis Hamilton getting taken out, Sebastian Vettel's engine exploding, a virtual safety car as well. We've had Pascal Wehrlein just go insane. Rain right at the end of the race, certainly throwing this race another twist. And to top it all off, Force India have secured 1st and 3rd, and Rio Haryanto 7th for Manor. Manor's best result ever. And there is your top 3. Max Verstappen finishing 2nd for Red Bull. I don't know if I can agree with this podium, but it's just fantastic to see nonetheless. Sergio Perez collecting the winner's trophy, and his teammate Nico Hülkenberg alongside him. I doubt Mercedes have actually even scored points this weekend, with Hamilton getting spun out by Wehrlein and Kvyat early on, and Nico Rosberg suffering that weird glitch at the start of a race. We're going to have a look at the race results now, and there you can see Sergio Perez wins from Max Verstappen and Nico Hülkenberg. We finished in 4th, and in fact we're the only driver that finished in the position that we started in. Daniel Ricciardo taking 5th, with Bottas 6th, Haryanto scoring 7th, his teammate Pascal Wehrlein also scoring points, Manor getting double points this weekend, Kevin Magnussen getting Renault's first points of the season in 9th, Kvyat taking 8th, but Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton finishing outside of the points, meaning that Mercedes and Ferrari have scored no points this weekend. And we move on to the Drivers' Championship standings. Lewis Hamilton still keeps his 3-point lead over Nico Rosberg, but Daniel Ricciardo is catching up, only 27 points behind Lewis Hamilton. We move up ahead of both Ferrari drivers into 5th, and closing on Max Verstappen, who is now 4th in the championship, and Force India also making their way up the championship after their fantastic 1-3 result. And in the Constructors' Championship, nothing much has changed apart from Force India, Manor and Renault making up positions in what has been a stupid weekend of racing, and a fantastic victory of Force India, just pulled off a strategy of the century. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen at Silverstone next time. My home Grand Prix is going to be my first home Grand Prix. I'm certainly going to be excited for that weekend, and if it produces a crazy race just like this one, I don't know what's going to happen. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed this crazy race. If you have, please do like, comment down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We've got no upgrades for the next race, and I hope it's going to be a good one. Until next time guys, this has been D-Man96. We'll catch you guys later.